Okay, this is the P2 paper from June 2025. It's question number 5, and this is a question from the integration chapter. As we can hopefully recognise, this is a trapezium rule question. So let's have a look and see what it gives us. It says, table above shows corresponding values of that function. Use a trapezium rule to work out that. So I always just have a very quick check, a couple of things. Is this function, which it is? Does it go from 7 to -2? Yes, it does. And how many marks is it worth? It's worth 3 marks. Yeah, this is the most basic trapezium rule part that we can do for a question. So let me just tell you what my values are. That's y0, y1, y2, y3, y4, y5, and I'm going all the way up to y6. And my d, my distance between each value here, is going to be 1.5. It's a constant all the way through. So for part A, an estimate of the integral between 7 and -2 of 3 to the 1/2 x dx is given by my version of trapezium rule. Trapezium rule is in the formula booklet, but I tend to just simplify it out a little bit for myself. You do whatever you need to do. So I would say y0 plus y6, which is the first one and the last one, and then 2 lots of everything else, y1 plus y2, y3, y4, and y5. So it's okay to write that down. It's okay to write down the values, which is what I'm going to do next, 1.5 over 2. But the key is when you're typing them, obviously, into the calculator. So I think this is 1.2, 0.023. And then it's 2 lots of 4.243 plus 1.5 plus 0.530 plus 0.188 plus 0.006. Oh, sorry, 0.66. But as I say, more important than getting them right in there, I don't think anybody's going to really check that too much, but is putting the correct values into the calculator, double check with those values there. And then once we've done those, make sure that you get the right answer coming out on a consistent basis. You should be practicing lots of these. You need to get the same answer as me. And it's said to 1 decimal place here. So to 1 decimal place, that works out to be 18.8. Okay, on to part B. And again, you need to practice these then. So when we're looking at them, it says, can we now estimate that? So what we must be doing is basically comparing what I've got here with the only thing that we know. The only thing we know is that the integral of that, or the estimate for that, is 18.8. So yeah, I've done one like these before. Go back and check my channel for other questions. So the question is 7 minus 2, 3 half, and it's this bit here. This is a powers question, really. That if I've got that, I can see, this is my problem. I don't want half x plus 2. I want half x. But that's fine, because what I can do is I can break that up into, leave everything else the same, but half x and half 2 dx. I've split this x plus 2 up into its constituent parts of x and 2 there. So that shouldn't be too complicated for you. And then what we can do is, all right, that's fantastic. I can take a quarter out now, because half to the 2 is a quarter, and I get left with the bit that I actually know. So what I'm doing here is just saying that value there can come all the way out there. And so I want a quarter of something I already know. So it's a quarter of 18.8. So it works out to be a quarter of 18.8. And then whatever that actually works out to be. And that works out to be 4.7. So that equals 4.7. So yeah, they quite often do ones here where we're needing to look at that value there. Then the second part can be various different topics here. So as we're looking at it, can we get that one? So let's have a look. So for part 2 here, that was part 1. Did I call it B part 1? B part 1. And this is B part 2. So what have I got for this one? I've got the integral. These are a little bit more tricky, but 7 and -2 of 2 to the minus x plus 2x dx. So the first thing to do would be say, right, well, 2 to the minus x, I could write that as 1 over 2 to the x plus 2x dx. All I'm doing is doing it really, really slowly, each part here. You could do more than one of my steps ago when you're doing it. And then 1 over 2 to the x here could be called 1 over 2 to the x. 7 minus 2 plus 2x dx. And so the left-hand part of this, I can work out in a second. So let's leave that as it is. 7 minus 2, 1 over 2 to the x here. But then the second part of it, I'm actually going to have to go through and do the integral of that. But that's not unusual. We do that quite often with this style of question. Just be careful with this first part then. That's not what I want. I know with the 3 in here. So this is a third of 18.8, that part there, plus, and then just integrate the other part, just do the integral. So yeah, we do this on a relatively regular basis. As I say, go back, check the channel for other questions like this. So that gives me a third of 18.8 plus, and then all we're doing is we're putting 7 and minus 2 in there, we're getting 7 squared minus 2 squared, oops, handwriting, and at this stage just chuck it all in and work out the answer. It works out to be 51.3, and that's a really nice question to do in terms of your general revision, because that's got lots of skills that they use over and over again on these trapezium rules, certainly the second part of them. So that's important that one makes sense. I hope it does.